I've been wandering around telling people that shame is a lie for a while now, and the most common response I get to this is, "What about the people that kick puppies? They're shameful, aren't they?" And my answer to all of those comments is always the same. It's that some people lie more than others. I'm not trying to say that shame does not exist. It absolutely does, and it's been killing us for thousands and thousands of years. What I am saying is that we were never meant to have it. Don't believe me? Let's open up the Bible to the first book of Genesis, because when Adam and Eve ate the fruit off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they felt shame at their nakedness. They felt shame as soon as they ate the fruit. Shame was the knowledge of evil. Now, for all of those saying, this sounds like a conspiracy theory, don't worry, the conspiracy goes deeper. Because then we have what God said next. To Adam, he said, it's going to cause you to work and slave and toil for your living. And to Eve, that it's going to cause increased pains in childbearing, and for you to constantly try and appease men, and for men to lord it over you. Now, don't we all act as either slaves or slavers to capitalism now? And weren't women treated basically like property for thousands and thousands of years? And don't we have an industry entirely devoted to telling our ladies that they can never be young enough or thin enough or pretty enough or appeasing enough for men? The one thing that capitalism, treating women as property, and the makeup industry all have in common is that they are fueled by shame. Now, if you want to go even deeper, the hole that shame leaves, when you try and fill it, that's greed. When you envy the level of shame that you imagine somebody else doesn't have, that's envy, isn't it? And when you try and satiate shame, that's lust and gluttony and sloth, isn't it? And then when you try and lie about the shame that you feel, that's pride. And when you can't fill it or satiate it or lie about it, all that there's left to do is to force it onto somebody else, and that's wrath. Shame is also the opposite of love. Like, we know that God is love because there's passages in the scriptures saying that God is love. And then if you study the ministry of Jesus, his whole thing was love. Like, he got rid of the 10 commandments and left us with love one another. That was it. That was his only commandment. Love one another. He got a little more specific when he said, as I have loved you, love one another. But that was the only commandment that he left us with. God is love. And we know from other passages of the Bible, love is patient, love is kind, it delights in truth, it keeps no record of wrongs. Well, my friends, shame is impatient. Shame is unkind. Shame keeps a record of every wrong ever done. And I mean, it doesn't stop there. Shame tears down. Love builds up. Shame divides. Love unites. Like, in that way, shame is self-defeating and will eventually defeat itself. Because that is in its nature. When I say that we were never meant to have shame, what I mean is mortality started at the same time shame did. What I mean is that it was never true. Eve didn't need to be anything more than exactly what she was. She was already perfect. You don't need to be anything more than exactly who you are. Lucifer didn't need to be anything more than the second in command of all of heaven, the leader of the angels. Shame lies like that. It tries to tell you things that aren't true. And when people try and tell you that, more often than not, it's because that's the way they feel about themselves. But we don't need to believe lies anymore. We never have. Shame has always been a lie, and we are better off without it.